Good morning, everybody. Early morning this morning. Good morning. We're on an hour early, as you know, but welcome to Jack and Keith's Weekend Playbook. A lot of stuff to talk about today. We welcome everybody on the McGrath Podcast Network, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You see some of our favorite groups scrolling at the bottom. I welcome in my co-host, Boxing Hall of Fame writer and Michael Spinks biographer, Jack Hirsch. How are you, Jack? Crazy night last night.
In more ways than one, Keith. I mean, there's a lot to unpack, but we knew that would be the case. I mean, we knew we weren't getting up this morning and saying, oh, things went as expected.
I didn't feel we'd have this much to unpack. I think 6 trades. I was trying to look before we went on. I got sidetracked, but I think 6 trades. It was a record, however many there were for the first round. The Bills trade entirely out of the first round. They make like 4 trades and keep trading out of the first round.
Well, they got a couple extra picks, and there's going to be value today.
Yeah, I think they decided, once we got to a certain point, they saw the talent pool dropping, and they figured we might as well wait till day 2.
Yeah, and the Bills are used to going late in the first round, and when they needed a receiver, they took Keon Coleman, and that didn't work out a couple of years ago. So, yeah, the Bills aren't the big story, Keith. How are you leading off with your arch nemesis the Buffalo Bills?
I was just running down a list of surprises last night. I mean, we had guys falling. We had Ty Simpson, who I told you'd be a story in this draft, and he goes a lot earlier. Your Jets make a surprise move, I think, at 16, but trade back in. I think the Giants did well. I'll give you my 2 best picks of the night. I had called Love to the Cardinals and got laughed at for the last week. And I also said Price would go number 32 to Seattle. So,
I mean, you nailed it, but these mock drafts.
I got every other one wrong, by the way.
Okay, but the mock draft beforehand, and you had your own mock draft, but the mock drafts are a ton of fun. I'm a fan. I enjoy them. But they rarely come out exactly as is, or anywhere close to being as is. I mean, all the projections coming out, and they're surprises. I mean, the biggest surprise, obviously, was Ty Simpson going at number 13 to the Rams. And when people would mention that as a possibility, I discounted it beforehand. I said, get out of here. They're not going to take him 13. I mean, maybe they'll take him later on and move up or something. But the thought was that the Arizona Cardinals were going to make a move, to move up into the 20s after the Cardinals took Jeremiah Love 3rd overall, which was a good pick for them. They have really a loaded backfield now. Getting Jeremiah Love wasn't a neat pick for them. Because Steph Connors, they're taking the best player available. And that's the way you do business. That's what you should do with every position in the NFL, with the exception of quarterback. You take the best play available. Obviously, if you have your franchise quarterback, you're not going to draft another quarterback.
Well, yes, I agree with that 100%.
Unless it's an older version like Matthew Stafford, who the Rams anticipate is going to play no more than 1 or 2 years. So they're already making the transition. Either this move is going to turn out to be brilliant on the part of the Rams, or it's going to turn out to be a complete fiasco, because the Rams are Super Bowl contenders. And if they barely come up short and they see they bypassed on a player like Makai Lemon, for example, who a lot of people want to go to the Rams. They need another receiver. And if they come up barely short of making it to the Super Bowl, they're going to have a hard time living this pick down.
Yeah, because to your point, Ty Simpson wasn't the best player available at 13, and he doesn't fill a need for them this year. They have a need at wide receiver with Lemon or whomever. I think they have a need at tight end. They might have been a Sadiq shot. Again, I know how you feel about Sadiq. We're going to get into the Jets.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan.
Somebody was taking him at 13, 14, 15. He was going in there. So if they wanted him, they had to take him where they did.
I mean, we may as well talk about him now quickly. He's a situational player. You see his explosiveness after he has the ball in the open field. He's lightning quick.
Yeah.
He's a creature of the combines. They look at his 40 time and everyone gets all excited. Oh, we got to take this guy, Sadiq. He reminds me of what Anthony Richardson did at the combines. Everyone's excited. Well, if we pass on this guy, and the Jets took him at number 16 when Mekhi Lawrence would have been an outstanding pick. And then the Jets wouldn't have had to move back into the first round. But kudos for the Jets for rebounding and moving back into the first round from 33 to 30 and taking Omar Cooper, who's going to be an excellent number 2 receiver to Garrett Wilson on the Jets.
There's still some good wide receivers left, but there'd be no guarantee the Jets would get certainly Cooper or Boston, because I think Boston's going to San Francisco with this. If 49ers stay where they are at 33, the first pick in the second round.
Don't be so sure, because the 49ers got Mike Evans in the offseason. They really did address the need for a big-time receiver.
But he's older. Kirk is older. I think he helps, and I think he helps them right now because Ayuk is gone too. Don't forget, there's other positions.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good chance. I mean, there's a reasonable chance he could go to the Niners, of course. But
yeah, plus
don't be surprised if he doesn't.
You know, Sadiq, he would have gone somewhere. And to your point about him being, he is a creation of the combine, a creation of the media, the way they cover the combine, and fall in love with physical talent. You saw in the panel we were on last night. Every single person there loved him. Sonia's all upset the Panthers weren't going to get him. I was scared to death he'd fall to 31 and the Patriots would take him. Stowers is another guy who is going to – he had a great combine, set a record for the vertical leap.
Yeah.
Who cares? I care about how they play on the field, right? I was scared to death the Patriots were going to take Stowers at 31 last night. So,
well, I mean, remember years ago when the 49ers, oh boy, I'm having a brain cramp, that great hurdler that they, Keith Nehemiah.
Yeah, Nehemiah, yeah.
That they turned because he had all this amazing athleticism, hurdler, turned him into a great football player. I mean, listen, I shouldn't compare Sadiq to him, but I don't like potential picks, you know, in the first round. I mean, take a potential pick in the third round. You can take a little bit of a chance there. You can't afford to get a first round selection wrong. I mean, it's right there for you. Let
me be clear. I think Sadiq and Stowers, the two guys I talked about at tight end, have some potential to, you know, play in this league.
Yeah.
But again, not where you're not a.
I'm not saying he's going to be. I'm not saying those guys are going to be a bust. I'm not saying that at all. They might turn out to be decent players when all is said and done, but the situation has to be right for them. I mean, they're situational players. I mean, Sadiq is going to be a situational player on a bad team right now. I mean, but it's done. Look, Mekhi Lemon, I had fallen in love with him. I thought he was the second best receiver in this class next to Jordan Tyson.
Me too.
Credit Howie Roseman. He did it again. He moved down. He made a deal with the Cowboys. The Cowboys had to see what was coming, that they were going to take the Eagles were going to take Mekhi Lemon.
Steelers,
but the Cowboys did business because they figured if they didn't, someone else would right after them, and they weren't going to take Mekhi Lemon.
CBS was reporting this morning that the Steelers were on the phone with Lemon when the trade was made, and they're on the phone with him, and Philadelphia takes them. So they get blown up.
Wow, can you imagine that? I mean,
maybe their phones were tapped. Maybe Belichick's back and tapping phones. What was I going to say? I was going to say something else here about. Anyway, the Jets. If you look at the overall success of first-round picks, half of them are going to make it. We know that. So if you take the Jets draft and the 3 picks they took, if Sadiq doesn't work out as great as they think, you still hit on 2 out of the 3 because I think Cooper's going to be a player. And we know Bailey.
I think Cooper is never going to be a number 1 receiver, though.
Doesn't need to be.
He's never going to be your main guy, the main number 1. But that's okay. He could be a good solid receiver for years to come, then it's an excellent draft pick. I mean, a guy like Garrett Wilson, those are true number one receivers.
And he's a young guy, so they don't need a number one.
Aren't number one receivers, but they can still work out very, very nicely.
Some of them will surprise you. There are guys who you think aren't going to be number ones and become number ones.
They do. Omar Cooper's just not. He's not one of them. He's quick, but he's not explosive. He's got good hands, but yeah, I know that catch against Penn State. We keep seeing the replay over and over. Let's not get carried away. I've seen better catches than that, but it was a good catch. And, you know, he's a winner, Omar Cooper. He's a winner. You know, he strikes as someone who gets things done. You know, he's not the smartest person in the office, but he's efficient. He gets things done. I mean, but there's not greatness written over him. But it's a good pick where the Jets, you know, moved up in the draft to get him. What's it called, Keith? Moving up or moving down?
It's moving down, but somebody's got to move up. Somebody's got to move up.
David Bailey. Now, it's going to be watched upon carefully, David Bailey and Arvell Reese. Because if Reese outperforms Bailey, of course, Jet fans are going to say we could have taken Reese, and I'm not going to want to hear it. Bailey was the right pick. And keep this in mind. Let me ask you this, Keith. Had the Jets taken Reese instead of Bailey, would Bailey have fallen to number 5 to the Giants the way Reese did?
No.
Would Arizona and Tennessee have bypassed Bailey the way they bypassed Reese?
I think the Cardinals were going to take Love no matter what. I don't think anything would have changed that. And I got to believe maybe the Titans and Salah go with Bailey. If I don't think he falls to the Giants. No,
that was an absolute shock.
Yeah,
Tennessee taking Cornell Tate fourth.
That's
overall.
That's a big leap.
I can't believe that was a move that Robert Salah, a defensive coach, really wanted to make. I can't believe it. I think that's something, an organizational thing. Him and Brian DeBala apparently very close, and he wants to give DeBala a chance to succeed with Cam Ward. But it wasn't the best pick that they could have made.
You're talking about a guy who was the second best receiver on his college team. So, again, he had a pretty good one in front of him in Jeremiah Smith. So maybe that's not fair.
Well,
if I'm going to reach there,
overall, I don't see it.
I think, again, as you said, I think Jordan Tyson is the best wide receiver in this draft.
Yeah.
And health-wise, that's what held him back. He did go 10. If you're going to gamble, I would have gambled with the best player available at that position, and that would have been Jordan Tyson. If I'm going to gamble at that position and try to help my quarterback, who also, by the way, got the snot knocked out of him all year, so they could have gone offensive line there very easily, and nobody would have said a word. And
it depends what you're looking for. Some players have, especially in the receiver position, this tremendous upside, this tremendous potential to be great. In others, like we were talking about before by Omar Cooper, they're going to be solid. They're more likely to be solid players. They're like a safer bet, Keith. They're like a stock that yields low but steady interest. You're going to make some money on it, but you're not going to become rich on that stock, but you're going to do well. That's Makai Lemon. You're going to do well with Makai Lemon. Makai Lemon is going to be successful. The other guys like Tate, even Jordan Tyson, you don't know for sure. They might be great and they might be, just so.
5 wide receivers go in this first round. I think, well, again, we have to assume some of them are going to fail, right? And I would think Tate would be one of my number one candidates not to reach the potential that they think, especially based on where he was drafted. Back to the Jets and Giants for a second, and Bailey and Reese. I don't think you go wrong with either one of them. I love the versatility of Reese. I think Bailey probably is ready to play maybe more right now.
They'll be moving Reese all over different defensive schemes.
I love that versatility.
versatility. He'll plug in holes. He'll help the Giants a lot, but he's not going to be a dominant force.
Disagree.
That's the difference involved. Reese
I
is
disagree.
not going to be a dominant force, and he's never going to be a dominant force. He's just going to be a heck of a good player.
Well, that's okay too, by the way.
Yeah.
Because that's what's in this draft.
David Bailey could be a dominant force. When I talk about a dominant force, I like to compare players to other players, and I keep seeing Chris Jones and David Bailey. He's going to be that type of player. He's going to be for the Jets what Chris Jones was to the Chiefs, to a point. The reason I say to a point is because the Chiefs won Super Bowls. They went to 5 Super Bowls. Come on, with Chris Jones. I don't anticipate the Jets having anywhere remotely, that type of success.
If they do, you won't be talking.
I look at in the same way. But when you think of the Jets in the next few years, you're going to think of David Bailey all the time. He's the guy who's going to pop into your head. When we name any team, certain players pop into our heads immediately as being the culture of that team. David Bailey's going to be that player, on the Jets, unless, of course,
you better hope it's your quarterback.
They get rid of that Chambliss next year, and then he's going to, yeah.
So Jack's streak of shows mentioning Trinidad Chambliss now reaches 100.
Yeah.
Good job.
I can't wait. That quarterback class next year is outstanding.
But just remember, we thought that about this year too, and it turns out to be a dud. And nobody thought Fernando Mendoza would be a first-round pick. So things change.
The guy that's disappointed, and this is intriguing for today, and it's not even 100% sure he's going to go today, but I anticipate he will, is Carson Beck.
4th round. I don't think he goes today. I think
the team that people are linking him to a little bit is the Steelers. But didn't the Steelers drafted Howard a year ago from Ohio State? And the thing I don't get, Keith, either Howard can be a quarterback of the future or he can't. He's had 1 year seasoning. If he's going to be your 3rd string quarterback for the 2nd year in a row, that means they don't believe in him. Then he shouldn't even be a consideration anymore. They took a fly on him last year, the Steelers, drafting Howard out of Ohio State in the 6th round. They didn't lose much, okay, fine. But if you're going to draft Carson Beck, you have to do it to at least make him your primary backup for this season.
Yes, I think they like Will Howard. Again, they didn't draft him high. Remember, he went, what did he go in this 6th round, right? I mean, again, I know for a fact 6th round picks work out sometimes, but it's a shot in the dark.
Yeah. Well, he led Ohio State to the national championship. They look at his leadership.
I like the kid. If they draft, and again, here's Aaron Rodgers holding his team hostage again.
I know Aaron Rodgers is a free agent.
He's holding his team hostage.
He is a free agent. He's got no obligation to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I didn't say he did. What I'm telling you is he's upset with the Steelers for not engaging him, he says. So I don't get it.
Engaging him in what?
Contract talks, I guess. How about you? Listen.
Well, Aaron Rodgers, keep this in mind.
I draft a quarterback and without him.
But Aaron Rodgers played for low money last year for starter. He really did. And he did lead them to a division title. And it would only be a 1-year deal. But Aaron Rodgers, he played for like $13.5 million. That was low. So you mean the Steelers have got at least double that if he's going to be the starter this year.
It's funny. I said when we were talking about Ty Simpson that the Rams only had the Cardinals to worry about. I guess they had the Steelers to worry about a little bit as well because they are in some trouble when it comes to quarterback.
They obviously like Ty Simpson a lot, the Rams. I'm not condemning the Rams in this sense. If they truly believe Ty Simpson has an excellent chance of being a franchise quarterback for them and they love his potential and love everything about him, then it's not a reach to me to take him at 13. It's not, because if you played around a little bit and thought you'd get him later on, you might not. So So they kind of rolled the dice and took him at 13. He's not going to help them for next year. But the problem with the Rams, they're in a win now mode. They're so close to being a
That's why this was crazy.
Team. They're on the short list of teams who you would think are going to win the Super Bowl next year. They're on the short list. And just one player could be a difference maker in that. That's what makes the decision very difficult. But whatever.
I don't understand it. Again, guys trying to explain to me you got to have a replacement for Stafford. I get that, but Stafford's got a 1 or 2 year window, and you didn't help him at all in the first round of this draft. That's just crazy. That's nuts.
No, you wonder how Stafford is feeling. There's always a perception outside of a building about players, and they might not have the same perception. Everyone's thinking, oh, Stafford will play 1 more year, then call it a day. Everyone is looking to put Stafford out the pasture. He's the MVP. He won the MVP last year, and everyone's retiring him. Everyone's making it out. Oh, Stafford's on his last legs. Give him a farewell tour. Give him a farewell tour. Maybe the MVP award again in his farewell tour. He's the MVP. Stafford, I can argue this, Keith. If you forget Stafford's age for a moment, if you just watched him play last year, you could make an argument he's better than he ever was. You can actually make that argument.
I'm not going to argue because I agree with you. I mean,
Stafford might want to play 4 or 5 more years. We don't know.
Even if he just plays 2, you don't know who's available. You could find a better quarterback than Ty Simpson's potential 2 years from now.
Late on, and then you deal with it late on. If you notice this is Stafford's last year, you know it for sure. And Stafford's expressed it and even told the organization, if you draft a quarterback, I think that would be the best thing. I don't think I'm going more than 1 more year. And he gave the organization that heads up. Fine, you draft a quarterback. But too many teams are looking at the Aaron Rodgers, who you mentioned, formula. He sat 3 years for Brett Favre. Then Jordan Love, filled in for Rodgers. Not that I'm completely sold on Jordan Love. He's okay, Jordan Love, but
by the way,
how elite he is, that's still a big question.
All those teams were Super Bowl contenders, and none of them won a Super Bowl either because they didn't do anything to help themselves in the moment. So, again, history says you don't do this.
They never drafted in the first round a wide receiver for Aaron Rodgers. They got good value in the second round.
They did. They had good receivers.
But all in the first round. And Makai Lemon is so good. What a brilliant move by Howie Roseman. Now they move on from A.J. Brown. Reportedly, he's going to the Patriots. But what could the Patriots give up for A.J. Brown?
Price is dropping from what I heard. They want a player, and they may not even get a first-round draft pick. They're probably going to get a second-round draft pick. So I heard Booty the other day, and I don't trade Booty in a second-round draft pick.
Anyway, wouldn't that be something if the Rams leapfrogged ahead of the Patriots, with A.J. Brown, somehow worked something out and got him to come. But Devontae Adams is still there with the Rams.
He is, but he's getting a little long in the tooth. He's not as good a player as he was. But Brown's up there, too.
He's still good.
He's still
good.
You
could have gotten these guys cheap a while ago for sure.
Well, they could have also taken Lemon at 13. So
Makai Lemon is going to be a great number 2 receiver. That means Devontae Smith is going to be the guy at Philadelphia. Devontae Smith, who should have been a number 1 receiver, but he couldn't when he went to the Eagles because they had A.J. Brown. And now Devontae Smith is the number 1 receiver, and he's going to be an outstanding number 1.
He's a great player. I thought when he got drafted, he was like a generational player, and he still might be.
Something was off where he was the number 2 receiver at Philadelphia, because I thought basically Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown was basically a wash. I thought Devontae Smith was about as good as A.J. Brown, but A.J. Brown, of course, had the pedigree coming from Tennessee and all, and he had the relationship with Jalen Hurts at the time.
And he didn't You know,
Mekhi Lemon is going to be a great number 2. The Eagles won't miss a beat in the receiving department now.
and Devontae also didn't pout when he didn't get the ball, and AJ did. So that, you know, there's a little difference there as well. So I do want to address. I don't know if Chris is. I don't know if
okay.
Rick was talking about Caleb Banks getting drafted instead of Thielman, I think, is the guy that, if I'm saying his name right.
Well, there was another pick that surprised me. I mean, but I'll hear you out on this.
We got time to go there. He's comparing. I don't know if you're comparing Chris Jones to Caleb Banks. I don't think they're.
No, come on, get out of here.
Banks is like Reese a little bit. He's got some versatility. He can play end. He can play tackle. He's a good player. And I'm not sure whether Rick was upset.
The Vikings overdrafted. I mean. They overdrafted.
They're drafting potential, right? And he had 2. He was hurt last year a lot. He had 2 sacks, I think, only last year.
You know what interested me too? When the Miami Dolphins, it came time for them to pick. You'd think Ruben Bain, hometown guy, and he was ideal. Caden Proctor is he reminds you of Refrigerator Perry in a sense. I mean, I don't feel. Players got to be self-motivated. Caden Proctor, he doesn't always strike you self-motivated. He's a talent. And I understand they're going to use him on short yardage, even though they'll also use him on short yardage situations. He won't just be a blocker. This guy, 4th and 1, he's going to be tough to stop.
He's
another version of the tush push, in a sense, handing it off to him. How do you stop a guy that big, bulky, and that's a 4th? I get all that.
He's a boomer bust guy too, Jack. He's either going to really be good eventually, because I don't think it's going to happen right away, or he's going to be a huge bust in this league. One of the other. In between.
I don't dislike the pick, except you had Ruben Bain there.
Bain gets
a natural fit.
What Bain fall to 15, I think,
15
right?
15 to Tampa Bay. He stays in Florida. Todd Bowles is a defensive coach, so he'll make the best use out of Ruben Bain. Ruben Bain wound up in a good spot.
I think he did too. I think he did too. I thought he's got top 10 talent. People worried about his short arms and blah, blah, blah. Stop. If you can play football, you can play football. I wonder if some of the stuff that came out.
Wasn't that Will Campbell? That was a knock on Will Campbell, right?
It is. It was.
And did that hurt Will Campbell? Did it hurt him?
Maybe, but 2 different positions. Listen, you can play football. You can play football. Ruben Bain is explosive. He's not just quick. I mean, we got into a little, I don't think you were there. There was a pretty good, go back and forth between James and Team Money last night. And I tried to get involved because listen, I watched this guy play every single game of his college career. This guy can play football. I know college and pro is totally different games, but this guy can play football and he's going to be a player in this league. I think he fell because people worry about, again, it's a copycat league. We heard short arms last year about Campbell. We hear short arms about this guy. James had a great comparison with Dwight Freeney, another guy who is too small, too short arms, great player. And he's a great comparison for Ruben Bain. I think some of the stuff that came out with the driving and whatnot, the accident where tragically somebody got killed, this came out. That
could have had a factor.
I think that had a little factor in him sliding in this draft. But that was a bit of a surprise for sure.
Yeah, because Ruben Bain went 15 and the Jets are going next at 16. And even though I don't think the Jets would have taken him, it entered my mind. Could you imagine David Bailey and Ruben Bain? You're like redid, your defensive line. It would have been outstanding. I think, wow, plus some pass rushers.
Yeah. When he was falling, he got to that 15th pick, and I thought if he got bypassed again, I thought the Jets might do that, but they didn't get the opportunity. Obviously, we're going to see that. That's going to be one of the Sadiq. What's his name? Sadiq is going to be one of the linchpins of this first round to see how good it is, right? Because he's right dead smack in the middle of it. Him and Ty Simpson are going to be the linchpins to see how good this draft really is. What else surprised you, Jack? You said you had a couple other picks that surprised you. I had a couple.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the board up here. It surprised me, like, who wasn't taken. I thought, teams need quarterbacks. Colton Hood at Tennessee. Why are people low on him? I think he could come in and start immediately. I just don't get it. And he's not even projected by some people to go that high in the second round, even though he is going to be taken in the second round. And I know the Jets who go 44th, if he could somehow fall to them, if there's still a way to move up. The Jets have a couple of fourth rounders. Could they still move up a few spots to take someone like him? Sometimes it's the players who aren't taken. Like
wide receivers. There's still a bunch of really good wide receivers. Good, really
Buffalo,
good.
You would have thought Buffalo would have maybe jumped on one, but like I said, the Keon Coleman thing maybe put him off a little.
They might not, but they might not love Boston. Is that what I get from Buffalo? Is they don't love Boston because they can trade back, and you're still going to have guys here on day two like Zachariah Branch from Georgia and the kid.
It surprised me a little.
The kid from Tennessee too. What's his name? Brazil, I think.
Yeah, it surprised me a little that Caleb Downs, okay, the safety who I thought Jim Harbaugh was in love with. He was there for the Giants at number 10, and the Giants went, offensive line to Francis Magua, whose health and status you kind of wonder a little bit about, even though I know how high you are on Magua.
Healthy, he's the best tackle on this draft. Healthy, he's the best tackle on this draft.
That's the thing about it. Yeah.
I'm not surprised if he'd gone earlier, which was expected. I'm sure the Giants would have taken Caleb Downs, and it also, but that also allows Dallas, I think, to have a really good first round themselves. I think they did very well getting Downs at 11, and who was their second last night?
But but Downs would have kind of anchored the Giant defense.
Malachi Lawrence.
That's the thing about
No, sorry, I was still on the Cowboys real quick. They make out by Caleb Downs falling to 11. They did really well getting him at 11, and I like the Lawrence kid out of UCF too on the edge. I think the Cowboys had a great day one as well. To me, Jets, Giants, Cowboys. Really, to me, the big winners of again, we don't know for years who really wins, right? But the quick reaction is that they're the three teams that made out the best in my mind.
We also talk about brand. I mean, we talk about in sports, a team wants to have an identity, and certain players boost their franchise where it becomes a little more than just winning and losing. Winning, believe it or not, isn't everything. It should be everything, but it isn't quite. A case in point is Jeremiah Love. Before Arizona drafted Jeremiah Love, if you had to put on a game of the week and you put on the Arizona Cardinals, who would give a darn? It would be the most boring thing imaginable for watching an NFL game. Now, if the Cardinals were put as a highlight game Sunday night by NBC, let's say the first game of the season, you would be interested because of Jeremiah Love. You would.
It's not going to be their spotlight.
No. But I'm saying it's not going to be the Cardinals. But let's say it was the first game of the NFL season. The Sunday night game is the highlight game. Usually that NBC has.
You're going to get the Cardinals on a Thursday night. You're not going to get them.
I'm just giving an example, Keith. You would be so much more interested in the Cardinals because of Jeremiah Love.
I agree.
Because it's a running back. It's a different position. If it were the Jets, you're not going to tune in to watch David Bailey play as great as I think he's going to be. But something about Jeremiah Love, you're just going to see, is he going to be truly in the league running back? The problem, though, in Arizona, they don't have an offensive line. Is he going to be another Ashton Genty next year?
He could have a tough first
year. And he's going to have to share carries. He's not going to be the rookie of the year. He's going to have to share carries because they have a couple of other good running backs there.
Winning awards isn't important. Winning championships is. You build with great players.
Obviously, you build a brand winning a championship, but there's certain highlight players who you want to watch play.
Yeah, but
They
again,
boost their franchise.
Jeremiah Love was the right pick for the Cardinals. That doesn't mean he's going to go off this year. He could very well have a season similar to what and I think Giante will be fine eventually. But Jeremiah Love's a much better player than Giante. He's the best player in this draft. He might have been the best player in last year's draft. He's going to be a great player. He's a 3-down back. Maybe 4-down back. Don't punt. So eventually, but he's going to struggle this year. Yes, they don't have a line.
Yeah, but you know what's interesting about the Giants? Caleb Downs, with the Cowboys, he's a punt return as well. He can return punts, so he might be given that additional responsibility.
By the way, that's an important job. Look at the impact that Marcus Jones had with the Patriots this year, playing cornerback. He made
punt returning,
game changer at cornerback and a game changer in special teams. That's two-headed monster. Those help.
And kick returners per se aren't that important anymore. The way the rules are set up, but punt returners are on the kickoff. I mean, you don't have guys like Devin Hester anymore that would have that impact on a regular kickoff, but on punt returns, there's a certain amount of freedom where guys could make moves or whatever.
You're starting to see, and I don't want to get in a whole debate about this. I hated the changes to the kicking kickoffs, whatnot. I'm starting to like it because you are starting to see more action. Marcus Jones returned 2 kickoffs for touchdowns this year, as well as punts. So you're starting to see more activity on those kicks than you were before. I hated it when it started. Now I've come around to kind of liking it. But
I mean, you usually come around to all the rules, like in baseball.
I really
second base. And,
I rarely come around as well.
Well, the strikes, the new rule on that.
My wife thinks I'm the most inflexible person on the face of the earth, and I always joke with her that I'm like water over rocks. That's how I am. I'm flexible, but I am not. I have a hard time adapting to new things, I can tell you right now. What else did we want to talk about on this? I think there's still, everybody gets wrapped up in the first round, right? Big national TV. We all have watch parties. We do this. Where it really matters is going to be tonight and tomorrow. That's where the teams really get good. And early in the second round. Once you get to the middle of the second round, the interest, not that it hasn't already started, it's going to be on the remaining quarterbacks. Forget about the.
I've been high on Carson Beck, but Carson Beck is perceived as a bit of a loner, and you don't want that in a quarterback. You want a quarterback who interacts with teammates. You don't want someone who could just be effective. It's like an office worker, someone who's very good at doing their job, but they don't interact with anyone in the office, anything. And a quarterback, it's important. The interactions are very important because you count on your quarterback, to at least be one of the leaders, at least lead by example. A quarterback doesn't have to be the leader per se. I mean, if you look at the Giants, when Eli Manning was there, he was a leader, but he wasn't a leader. Guys like Michael Strahan would be a leader. With Phil Simms in the Giants, I mean, who would really be the leaders? It would be like Harry Carson, a little more so.
Yeah.
But the quarterback has to be a leader by example. It has to be someone at least the rest of the guys can rally around.
If there's a surprise for me, if there's a surprise that the quarterbacks are left, they're going to go whatever, 3rd or 4th round. Drew Lar is a guy that I'd roll the dice on later. If I was a team that was looking for a quarterback, maybe not tomorrow, but in a couple of years, Drew Lar is a guy I would take a chance on. I heard this morning a lot a chatter about Nussmeier and the Jets as well.
The Jets can take they're not going to take him. I hope they don't take him second round. With the 44th pick. No. The Jets are waiting for next year, the quarterback situation, but you can take a quarterback tomorrow in the 4th round. The reason, and nothing's lost there, because if he gets to play and whoever it might be, and he's really good, that changes things for the following year. As far as drafting a quarterback, you may have found your quarterback. Look, Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins were fourth-round selections. No one anticipated them being starters. But if it doesn't work out, it's a fourth rounder. Okay, you move on.
So if I tell you there's Nussmeier, Carson Beck, and Lahr are all still available when you pick in the fourth round, which one guy you like?
Carson Beck.
Really?
I think he's got the most upside. He's erratic. That's the problem with Carson Beck. He's erratic.
A lot of interceptions you're going to get. Fumbles. He doesn't hold on to the ball well. A lot.
He's not going to get coached up with the Jets, unfortunately. But
you got that personality thing you were talking about too. He's got a weird personality. It's standoffish, right? That you kind of alluded to before.
But if it all comes together for Carson Beck,
then you don't need a quarterback.
Caliber quarterback. I can't say it for the other guys. I can't even say it for Drew Aller. I don't know, is Drew Aller a starting caliber quarterback?
He isn't today. I'm saying he's a project, and of these guys, he's a guy I would roll the dice on to be good later on. We'll see.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, if he's there in the fifth round, you take him, and what are you going to lose? Look what the Steelers did with Will Howard, and now they're looking for a quarterback. But what did they lose taking him in the sixth round? A number of teams do that. They take a quarterback later. Look, Shedeur Sanders was taken in the fifth round, which makes it, I don't know how he lasted to the fifth round, but it makes it laughable when I heard people say Cleveland, they got to get the players to support Shedeur Sanders. Are you out of your mind, people? He was a fifth-round selection. You get Shedeur Sanders to support the players you got. You don't even start him this year if you're Cleveland.
I agree.
I mean, start Watson this year. He's getting paid the big money. And if Watson flames out like you think he is again, then fit Shedeur Sanders and then get him the playing time. This isn't Shedeur Sanders' team at Cleveland.
This is a good pick.
He didn't show you enough when he played last year. He didn't disqualify himself from being a future starter either.
He didn't.
The jury is still out on Shedeur Sanders. We don't know.
He didn't play any better or worse than I would expect a fifth-round pick to play.
But that's it. I see the same thing, going on with the Giants, with Jackson Dart. You do not build a team around Jackson Dart yet unless you're absolutely sure he's going to be a quarterback of the future. But you could do that if you're Washington with Jaden Daniels, who showed you a lot in his first year, but then was injured in the second. But you don't know how good Jackson Dart's going to be if you're the Giants.
But the problem is you have to have a quarterback, and you can't find out if he can play without weapons and without guys to protect him. So take an offensive lineman. But
take the best players.
Well, that's what I think both these teams did. I think that's what the Browns did with Fano, and I think that's what the Giants did with Magawa.
No, Giants did. I mean, they drafted well, all in all.
I think those are smart moves. You got to protect your quarterback. Even the Patriots, they took
Mosiah was kind of like a need pick over there with Caleb Downs available. It was kind of a need pick. I don't like these need picks. You take the best available. So if you're not getting your quarterback the weapons of protection, at least you're building an elite defense in the meantime. You're building the foundational pieces. You could protect your young quarterback all you want, but if you're lacking in other areas with the team, you're going to be hurt. But in all fairness, the Giants did have the players last year on defense, and they underperformed. That was the problem, underperforming on the field, not the personnel per se.
A big thing with the Giants and not taking Caleb Downs is they're now the Cowboys they could be regretting that for a long time in the East Division if they made the wrong pick and the Cowboys made the right one.
You know, who made that pick for the Giants? I just don't know. Joe Shine's been all over the news. Harbaugh's been backing off. But is Harbaugh just being a gentleman, letting Joe Shine have the spotlight?
Yeah.
And
he reports to nobody except the owner. So who's running the team? Harbaugh.
Yeah, yes. But is it truly a partnership? Joe Shine, one thing I hear about him, he does his homework meticulously. And Harbaugh, who strikes me as being a very nice guy, could say, I'm really impressed with the job Joe is doing, all his research, this. I'm looking at his work, I'm studying it, I'm talking to him, we're interacting. And I think it's become, and you kind of wonder that 10th pick. Orville Reese was an easy pick. An easy pick when he fell to number 5. But at number 10, I know Harbaugh loves those type of safeties, like Kyle Hamilton there, and he had, Caleb Downs at number 10, and they went offensive line. I don't know that it was Harbaugh in love with that pick, or did he just defer to Joe Shine?
I got to believe that I really thought the Giants were going to take Caleb Downs 5 and gamble to Sonny Styles and still be there at 10. That's what I thought the strategy would be, and they didn't go that direction at all. So,
well, they maybe didn't think Orville Reese was going to fall to them.
That's quite possible. That's quite possible.
And so you wonder what the Giants were thinking. They probably thought, okay, the Jets take Bailey or Reese. And then between Arizona and Tennessee next, they were going to take the other guy.
Yeah.
So that's what their emphasis was on. And I get the feeling at number 5, the Giants maybe then would have taken Jeremiah Love. Just my feeling on that.
There was a bunch of guys to me that really went in places I didn't think. I didn't think Caden Proctor was going to go where he went.
Number 11.
Number 11. Very surprised.
He's a wild card.
He is
he's a big time talent. Been out of shape. Has been injured. He loves his Krispy Kreme donuts. He'll eat a whole box at once, he admits.
Yeah.
But,
obviously, Ty Simpson. I think Caleb Banks was a bit of a reach for the Vikings. Again, a great talent, but not projected to go in the first round necessarily.
But sometimes if you love a guy, you do overreach a little bit because you're so scared of losing him.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. If you love a guy, you might as well trade up to get him if you got any worries. But
the Rams with Ty Simpson,
that's nuts.
They could smell the sharks maybe between Arizona and the Steelers.
The only two they had.
One of them is going to move up to the low 20s. Let's just grab him now. If we don't grab him now, we're not going to get him later.
Well, very interesting. We'll have more to talk about on the draft on Monday, as we'll probably talk more about this as news comes out. We'll have the rest of the draft to kind of analyze as well. And I got to touch on before we I want to talk a little bit of NBA before we leave. And before we get with some of the NBA.
Yeah, you want to talk a little NBA because the Knicks might be eliminated before the next show, next week's show.
I don't think they have 2 games before Monday.
I'm only joking.
If they go down 3-1, they're probably eliminated anyway. Before we get done with the NFL, I just want to say that because I've been hearing about it from a lot of people. I didn't defend Mike Vrabel last week when the news first started coming out. I said, I have to see more on this. And by the way, this is a personal matter between him and his family in my mind. And we need to leave the guy alone. Now, I lost a lot of respect for Mike Vrabel, the person, because I thought he was a better person than this. And he's stepping away from the team, and he may be gone for a while. He was involved last night. He won't. I think he's going to be involved today. But there's some talk that he may take a leave of absence and be gone for a while here during the spring practice or the early part of training camp and whatnot. We'll see what happens here. But this could impact the Patriots as far as going forward. Distractions like this teams don't need that are young and building like the Patriots are. So,
Keith, I'm not letting you off the hook. I'm sorry. Even though you're a decent and honorable person, I really mean that. And you're entitled to have opinions about other people and other things, of course. Yep. But when this Mike Vrabel news came out, you were dismissive of the whole thing. Let's just move on.
I said
about nothing.
All I said was show me more than what you have. And now I've seen a lot more. Now I've seen a lot more.
There are a couple of ways of looking at it. I'm a big believer in forgiveness if you can, but it's not for me to forgive Mike Vrabel. I'm looking at what the NFL is going to do.
They can't do anything.
You have this conduct clause for all these players.
Roger Goodell already said yesterday this is not a conduct issue in the NFL. This is not for them to handle. This is for
but you said it best. You thought Mike Vrabel was a better person. When this first came out, Mike Vrabel said this is all laughable. To put it, well, if it's laughable, we could laugh at you now and we can crack jokes about it. I'm not going to do it.
No.
But you made it worse. You made it worse at that moment. And the thing about Mike Vrabel, it being a deeply personal matter, when he was coming up with this statement, he did mention his family and the Patriots, how he hurt the organization. Well, your family is more important than the Patriots. I hope that would be the case.
He said that. He actually said that. That's why he's not going to be there this weekend. He said, my family comes first. He said those exact words.
Okay. Yeah, and it's also, I liked his statement. I liked his statement, okay? And what he said.
A week late.
Yeah. How much remorse he truly has, I don't know for sure. It sounds like he has a lot of remorse. But listen, how long has this been going on for? And like you said,
at least 6 years now.
He humiliated his wife, who hasn't gone public, completely humiliated her. And he's going into counseling now, I guess maybe to save his marriage or whatever. Or sometimes people, and I don't believe this is the case because I get the feeling Mike Vrabel is sincere, but sometimes people go into counseling immediately after, go into rehab, because it's a way of damage control. Take Steve Phillips, who was a total sleazebag. You heard me, I'll repeat. Steve Phillips was a total sleazebag in the things that he did from the time he was Met GM to when he was on ESPN. Bad guy Steve Phillips was. Maybe he's a good guy now. Maybe he's found the better side of himself. And as soon as he finally got caught and it looked like he could lose his job at ESPN, he went into rehab and he came with his 8-point plan or whatever on sex addiction. That was his problem, sex addiction. Well, and he wanted to talk about that instead of baseball. It's a way of, I'm sure he got together with his agent. It was a way of saving his job.
Sure it is.
I'm glad Steve Phillips is back, with Major League Baseball on the network and so on, because he's a knowledgeable guy, and I kind of like him, listening to him. Yeah, but he was a sleazy guy.
They're different situations because he was sexually harassing people in the organization and everything else. Mike Vrabel wasn't, at least as far as we know.
Well, I don't know if Steve Phillips quite doing that. But he was having these affairs.
100% he was doing. It was sexual harassment at the time, for sure.
Yeah, but he was a bad guy all around, Steve Phillips.
Now, hopefully we don't hear that. Hopefully we don't hear that about Mike Vrabel. Let me give you my take on Mike Vrabel. And last week I did say that if I was wrong, I would say I was wrong when I saw more evidence, and I've seen a lot more evidence. My big problem with Mike Vrabel is now, when you don't come clean and you do what he did, you said the right thing. He called it laughable last week, blowing it off like no more is ever going to come out. Now it just looks like what he's sorry for is getting caught.
Exactly.
And I don't like that. And that's where I've lost respect for Mike Vrabel, the man. Now, if he makes this right, you can gain some of that respect back. He's not out there beating women. He's not, there's a lot of bad acts in the NFL doing worse things than this, right? And I'm not condoning this in any way. If he can make this right, but he should have done this a week ago and not yesterday.
But there's a bigger story involved here. If it's true about Robert Kraft, going out of his way to get the New York Post not to run the photos. Now, I got a problem with that, with Kraft's involvement in that sense.
I won't like that either, but again, I don't think this doesn't go out.
If Kraft just made a phone call and it wasn't a threatening thing, asking them to consider not running the photos, that itself I don't find offensive. If it was just a plain phone call, he's allowed to, speak about it. And sure. I can understand you want to have damage control, but look, Vrabel's going to recover from this, and it's going to be it's going to be forgotten about. And when and he'll be back for the football season. I don't buy it for one moment that he's going to miss any significant time.
We'll see.
So for all his talk stepping away, he's not stepping away. So he wasn't in the room on draft night. Well, first night. And I mean, what was he there in the room? I don't think he was he?
I think he was. I'm not positive. They never showed the Patriots.
They know who they're going to pick, and he's not in charge, completely in charge of the personnel with the decisions. Kraft has always had the scouting department. I mean, Vrabel would have a major say, of course.
Well, Wolf will make the picks. He's
exactly. You mean to tell me he's not going to be on the phone with Vrabel? Come on, he won't be physically in the room. I'm going to take this guy Vrabel. Say good.
I don't understand.
Do it in the middle of counseling. Could you imagine he's in counseling and he gets a call? No, that's okay. I'm busy now, but I like that guy. With his fifth selection.
It's family counseling. It's not just him. But he said he's going to be in touch with the team even Saturday. So by the way, why do you have to start counseling on Saturday? You couldn't start Monday. You couldn't start Thursday if it was that urgent.
I don't know, but I think he's handling it the right way right now.
Well,
I think he
handled it badly to begin with.
Right. He has to come clean now. He's cutting his losses. The longer he was in denial, the worse it was going to be. And but he's very sly. He hasn't said what went on with Rossini, and I don't blame him because she was lying about the whole thing herself, obviously.
Yesterday, he didn't mention the name. He didn't mention any specifics, but the other day, he kind of skirted around the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly.
He said, going forward, I expect to be a better person for my family and my team. That tells me all I needed to hear.
Yeah, exactly.
And then yesterday, he was even more to the point that he had failed his family, and he had to make this right, and his family needed him now, and that's why he was stepping up.
I would like you want to know how he would how I gain respect for him. Let him take the darn season off to get stuff, and then I'd have a ton of respect for him.
I don't think it's a huge possibility, but I think there's a chance that could happen.
Okay, but if it does happen, it's
a small chance, but I think it could happen.
But it's a time-consuming job. You can't make things right if you're in the office 16 hours a day. You're in there 16 hours a day, and you're not home at all after the counseling. Come on.
No. Well, the problem is where he was the other 8 hours. That's the problem. So anyway, we didn't leave ourselves a lot of time. The NBA last night, the Knicks just put themselves in a bad spot now, down two games to one. They had this game. They had game two, obviously, in their pocket since we chatted, and kicked that game away. And then game three. Listen, I got to tell you, who's the kid from McCollum from Atlanta? That guy is he's what Jalen Brunson was.
Jalen Johnson played a good game with the Hawks. I was watching the NFL draft. I didn't tune into the Knicks till the very end of the game.
I was trying
to evaluate him, and I didn't get to see the Timberwolves go up 2-1 on Denver.
That was the other game I was going to mention.
They routed Denver yesterday. I picked the Timberwolves to win that series.
You did, and
Denver to come out of the West. Don't sell them short. They might be the team to come out of the West.
This season isn't over. Jokic's not going 7 for 26.
Oh, no. Denver won't. They won't give an easy here. They won't give an easy.
This is Jokic's worst playoff performance of his career.
Rudy Gobert stepped up guarding him.
Played well defensively. Yeah. I'm not a big fan, as you know, of Gobert, but he played well.
But he stepped up in this series. He's taken it as a challenge.
Did the Knicks come back and win game 4? We'll wrap it up.
I picked the Knicks in 5.
You did. I said 7.
Yeah, the Knicks. Yeah.
I still think the Knicks win this.
They come back. It's going to be a nail bite. They better win game 4. They're down 3-1. The way the Hawks have played the second half of the year, they've got to win game 4.
Well, Lots to talk about. Jack will be on tomorrow with the debate show. I don't know if it's got anything to do with the draft or not, but tune in for that. I'll be back Sunday with the Stream of Consciousness, and I guarantee you we'll talk draft, and we'll probably talk a lot more Mike Vrabel, because I know my followers, and they're going to want to beat me up. So I'm ready for you. Any last words, Jack, before we let it go? I appreciate everybody getting up early with us.
No, that's it. The draft is one of the things I most look forward to in sports, and it never comes out completely, even close to the way we anticipate, but it's a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun last night, and we still got a lot of fun today. I like these next 2 days. I don't watch it all day long.
I do. Today's a pivotal day. It wasn't only yesterday. Today you build the foundational pieces of your team. Agreed,
100%. We'll recap you guys on the rest of the action on Monday morning with Jack and Keith return with the after weekend playbook. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye-bye.